I was asked by Scott Pegden4550 to create a build for him using both a monk's abilities to generally kick ass and terrain spells like Entangle, Plant Growth, and Spike Growth. And I came up with the Way of the Faithwarden. We'll trap enemies in our terrain spells and be completely immune to those effects. And we'll be immune to those effects earlier than typical using a piece of equipment that is secret only to druids in Act 1. Our spell save DC will grow astronomically as we'll get a +2 in it every time our weapon and our unarmed attacks hit. And to make it even harder for them to escape such a simple spell like Entangle, all of our ranged magic and sucker save spells will inflict both reverberation and mental fatigue, lowering their saving throws, so they just get stuck. Restrain for them means we're free to run around them as much as we want, and all our attacks are at advantage, further increasing our spell save DC. Doesn't matter not getting able to hit us, our Spike Growth will be tricked to inflict Radiant Orb for every time they walk through it. They're totally screwed. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video. There'll be chapters below if you want to skip around. Till then, I'll see you later. Our first level we're going to want to take is going to be in Druid. The saves that you get from Monk are pretty much who cares. As far as the stat split go, make sure you take 16 in your Wisdom, 16 in your Dexterity, and put a 14 in your Constitution. After that, the other ones just go where you want them. This is perfectly set though to keep all your concentration going and to have pretty ridiculous high AC without having to wear clothes. Our next level is going to pick up Monk, unlocking all of the additional stuff that Monk get. Monks are very front loaded, so automatically we can now do 2 additional attacks with our bonus action, and our Wisdom modifier gets added to our AC. But after that, we are going straight back into Druid. Second level of Druid opens up our circle, and we're going to take Circle of the Land. Let's talk about spells for a second. So land lets you grab 2 different spells depending on different area types, and all of them are pretty useful in their own specific ways, but I find that Coast is the most useful as you get 2 amazing spells that you would not normally get in Druid, and that would be Misty Step and Mirror Image. Mirror Image is fantastic. It's not concentration. It's basically just absorbs 3 hits that you would have taken already, being an absolute lifesaver when you're concentrating on spells, and Misty Step is just one of the best utility spells in the entire game. As far as the other first level spells, there's only one that is definitely necessary for this build, and that would be Entangle. Entangle outside of a build like this is okay in the lower levels, but pretty much useless on the other hand, as it is a strength save, and a lot of the guys that you're going to be trying to restrain are pretty good at those, especially since a lot of the humanoid people that you're going to be fighting are soldiers and fighters, and they do have proficiency in that strength save, so it makes it even harder. So we're going to either lower their saving throws or increase our spell save DC, or what I did, both. I'll go over that in the equipment section, but there's another piece of equipment that I want to talk about here, and that is the staff called Faithwarden. This is a staff that you get in Act 1 only if you are a druid following the path of helping the tieflings stay in the encampment. You have to discover Kagura's shadow druid secret, and she has to survive. But when she does, she'll give you a staff called the Faithwarden that lets you cast Entangle once the short rest for freezies, and it makes you immune to the effects of Entangle, which is going to be very helpful on the early side of this because we won't get our immunity to Entangle, Plant Growth, and Spike Growth until level 6 here. So our next level in Druid is going to bring us to 3rd, opening up 2nd level spells, and here is where we're going to find Spike Growth. Spike Growth is one of the best trained spells. It absolutely chainsaws through people, especially when you get to the point where you can walk in it. And if you're able to walk in it, you're able to thorn whip people into it, making it very annoying for them and incredibly fun for you. Whipping on certain pieces of equipment that does additional status effects, doing magic damage, also works for Spike Growth. The next level opens up a feat, and I personally would just do ability score increases to get your Wisdom higher. Our 5th level in Druid opens up 3rd level spells and gives us another choice of Circle of the Land, and this is, at least for me, a very clear choice. Mountain gives you Lightning Bolt and Fly, both non-regular Druid spells and both incredibly helpful, especially Lightning Bolt. You're going to be lining up people in terrains who can't move, so you're going to have really good control, and you can do a lot of damage with area effect spells. And in fire is not what we're looking for here, because a lot of our terrains will burn up and then they're not useful anymore. So Lightning Bolt really covers all our bases. And our last druid level is going to open up something called Landstride, making us now immune to entangle, plant growth, and spike growth, so we don't need to use the Faithwarden to apply those. We can use a different staff. Now that we're immune to our terrain spells, we're going to jump right back into Monk, opening up our additional bonus actions. Our next level in Monk is going to let us pick our Way of, and this is important too, we're going to pick Way of the Open Hand. The ability to push people with our flurry of blows on our bonus actions is not super necessary, but you can shove them into your terrains, which is cool. I usually just used it to push people out of the terrain that made their save and then thorn whip them back into the terrain so they had to save it again. Our next monk level gives us another feat, and I would use that to again increase our wisdom up to 20. Our next level in monk opens up second attack and our stunning strikes, letting us completely skip people's turns and again give us more ways to have advantage to hit them. And our 6th level in Monk opens up our manifestations. Wholeness of Body is broken as hell. It's going to heal us just a tad, but it's also going to let us, for 3 turns, have 2 bonus actions. So now we get to just absolutely go full Jet Li on people who are stuck and restrained in our entangles. As far as endgame armor goes, I was really torn between 2 different pieces of armor, one of which actually doesn't work like it says it does. So let's talk about that. The Armor of Landfall is the endgame armor for a land druid, basically. You're supposed to heal a d4 at the start of your turn anytime you're in one of your terrain spells, and it says plant growth specifically and gives you a free casting of plant growth, but it does not work. It does work in Entangle. Unfortunately, it's really a small area of effect, but it doesn't work as it says, and it's light armor, which is okay if you're playing a full druid, but as we're doing monk and we want to add our wisdom to our AC, that's gonna block it. Although I did have fun having the Broodmother's amulet on, so every time I was in my entangle, I would heal and have a d6 of magical poison damage onto my weapon, and there's some fun stuff you can do with that, but personally I suggest endgame doing Robes of the Weave. These are in the Vault and Sorcerer Sundries. You can get them as soon as you get to Act 3. It's super easy. You really just need the See Invisibility spell to grab them. Other options, though, leveling up through the other acts, I like the Ice Bite Robes. You get to cast Armor of Agathis on yourself and get resistance to cold damage. You want to avoid fire for basically dear life, so being able to have additional temporary HP and have it attack in cold is pretty sick. You'll find those in Act 2 in the Cemetery. As far as staffs go, there were 2 staffs that I really suggest for this build. The first one being the Faithwarden staff that we already talked about a little bit, and Cacophony. And Cacophony is a staff that you can purchase on your way to the Crush from the crazy egg lady whose name I forgot. Oh, it's Esther. Yeah, that's what it is. So this staff does an additional d4 of thunder damage, and that's actually super important, because we're going to use thunder damage to increase our AC. We're going to also equip something called the Hat of the Thunder's Scion. This is purchasable by the Bloodmancer at Moonrise Towers. Anytime you do thunder damage, you get something called Arcane Acuity, and that increases your spell save DC and your spell save attacks by 2 every time you do this. And we're gonna just lean into that and also grab the Thunder Palm Strikers. These are gloves that you can purchase from the Iron Hand Gnomes right in Rivington. And now both your weapon attack and your offhand attacks are doing thunder damage, increasing all of your spell saves and attacks. This is like if you just do 1 bonus flurry of blows and 1 weapon attack, that is +6 to your spell save DC. You still got a second attack too. And seeing how most of these people will be restrained, you're gonna have advantage for most of these. I did use a stat stick weapon. I used the Hellrider Longbow. This is something you can purchase in Rivington. It gives you a +3 on your initiative, which is super helpful. You already have a good dexterity, so for most of the time you're gonna be acting fast, being able to place your terrain spells as soon as things start. And we're also going to make sure that we're wearing the Boots of Inhibited Kashigo, which is something that basically every monk needs to have. Using these lets you add your wisdom modifier to all of the damage to your unarmored strikes, and you can find these right when the Gith are attacking the, it's in between Act 2 and 3. I'm not going to say it. There have been some people who haven't gotten past Act 1, so keeping you guys in mind. All of our other accessories, all combined, work towards debuffing our enemy saves and making sure our spike growth does additional effects. The first one is going to be the Coruscation Ring. This is going to add 2 points of Radiant Orb, making it harder for people to hit you every time they take magical damage from you, and this stacks with Spike Growth very, very awesomely. You can find this in the Last Light Inn's basement. And then there's the Ring of Mental Inhibition. This is going to put on something called Mental Fatigue, which is basically reverb, but instead of thunder, it's psychic, and instead of your strength, dex, and con saves, it's your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saves that get lowered, and this will stack with all of your other spells that force them to do saves like Lightning Bolt or Ice Knife, anything like that, including stunning strikes too. If they fail saving throws, these then affect them, making it easier for you to hit them with other stuff. And then to get Reverberation in the mix, we're gonna use the Spine Shudder Amulet that we can get in Moonrise Towers in the Mimic Chest by Kethric's Room. This will add 2 stacks of Reverberation every time you do a ranged spell attack, and that's your Thorn Whip, that's your Ice Knife, that's a bunch of stuff for a druid. Using Thorn Whip to yank them in and lower their strength saving score with your already improved spell save DC Entangle, it's basically just lights out for that guy. Hey, I hope you enjoyed my video. I love to thank all my sponsors, but especially those guys right there. Anybody in the adventure or higher group gets put into the last ending credits, and they also get put into a raffle that pulls every Sunday. Thanks again, Scott Pegden 4550 for the build request. If you guys have a build you want to see, drop it in the comments below. Until then, bye, love you.